In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, I greet you with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum, or peace be upon all of you. My two previous speakers have made my task very difficult because they have spoken 80% of my speech. So I have to change my perspectives. Some 65 years ago, a British sociologist, Professor Unwin, wrote a book, Sex and Culture. He studied some 80 societies in different parts of the world, past and present of his time, and he concluded that the societies who have contributed most to human civilization are the societies that have placed restrictions on sexual relationship. The societies that has the least restrictions were the societies that were at the bottom of the civilization. And he basically divided the societies into three major camps: those who were at the bottom, those who were in the middle, and those who were at the top. And he concluded that only when the sexual relationship are restricted and the energy that basically is spent in sexual relationship are diverted to other productive things, the civilizations rise and the civilizations improve. So sexual relationship is not just a matter of a relationship between two individuals. It is also a matter that affects each and every human being on the planet, and it affects the progress of the human civilization and the values that this civilization is governed with. Now the question is that who is the one who is capable of putting restrictions on sexual relationship? Because if we give this right to human beings, then the sexual norms and sexual behavior and sexual morality would change on the basis of the power of the elites, on the basis of the power of those people who control the mind, or in modern sense, the media or the intellectual pursuits. They would determine what is right and what is wrong. And in that particular respect, there could not be any universal values that one can basically identify with, because in each society and in each community, those who control the mind would determine what are the restrictions that should be placed. It is here that Islam takes this position that the one who created the universe, who created the human beings, who is in control of everything that exists around us, is the one who alone is qualified and who alone is capable of providing restrictions and guidance in matters pertaining to sexual relationship and pertaining to all other aspects of life. And that's why the scriptures tell us, Inna hudallahi huwal huda, that the guidance is the guidance that comes from God, because human beings usually respond and react to their own cultural and their own ethnic and political and geographical interests. So if God has placed certain restrictions, then how would we know which restrictions are the ones that are attributed to God? And it is here, basically, what I started my discussion with, is that the restrictions are there primarily to ensure that the human society and human civilization progress in a manner that the interests of each and every human being is taken care of. And in that particular respect, Islam says that the sex or the physical intimacy between a man and a woman has to be within the confines of marriage, based on love, pleasure, and responsibility. It is not just a matter of pleasure and love, it is also a matter of responsibility, because the consequences of the sexual relationship is the procreation in many cases. And the procreation brings a lot of responsibility. And it is here that Islam says that the guidance of God is the guidance that has to be taken into consideration. In that particular respect, Islam's appeal is that without establishing the absolute equality between genders, that kind of morality will not function and will not work. Because only when men and women are empowered with the rights that God has given them, and when they are entitled for those rights, legally and socially and religiously and morally, only then they can act in a responsible manner towards themselves and towards the society and towards each other. Only then they can demonstrate their love and pleasure with responsibility, not only for themselves, for the generations that they intend to procreate. It is in that particular aspect that Islam clearly mentions that the premarital or extramarital or relationship that basically go beyond the institution of marriage are not acceptable. They would create tensions in the society, and they would create disbalance and imbalance in the society that would ultimately affect the civilizational progress and the human progress as well. Islam takes a stand against rape, and in fact considers this one of the most heinous crimes against humanity, regardless who the victims and who the perpetrators are. Islam takes a very strong action on the issue of the sanctity of life. That if you are not willing to take the responsibility of raising a child, then it's better to refrain from indulging in those acts, because birth should not be left on accidental relationship. It should be linked with responsibility and with the commitment to raising a child to the best of your ability to prepare that child for a better citizen for this world. Islam takes a responsibility in that particular respect, and Islam does not say that the deviations will not occur. Islam does not say that people will not basically choose other way in terms of expressing their sexual identity. But what Islam says is that the human being should then take the responsibility and should be prepared for the consequences for their action, because without that, any expression of love, any expression of pleasure would be without responsibility. Thank you very much.